Well, you had your hair in there a couple of times when you were talking to them. It was on the camera. Yeah.
Okay, what is it? Down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't
Y'all sing
gonna
along
study
with an
war no more. Ain't gonna study 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 war no more. Gonna shake hands around the world down by the riverside.
Hey, hey,
Down by the riverside.
hey, hey,
Down by the riverside, gonna shake hands around the world. Down by the riverside, study.
Y'all sing with us all.
No more, sing it with us. Ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Ain't gonna study war no more.
yeah.
We're going to do this song for the sake of Ukraine. It's called Simple Song of Freedom. We don't want this war no more. Sing along if you want to. Come and sing a simple song of freedom. Sing it like you've never sung before. Let it fill the air. Tell the people everywhere. We the people here don't want no war. 700 million, are you listening? Most of what you read is made of lies. But speaking one to one, ain't it everybody's son to wake up in the morning when we rise? Come and sing a simple song of freedom. Sing it like you've never sung before. Let it fill the air. Tell the people everywhere. We the people here don't want no war. You wanna pick one time? No doubt some folks enjoy doing battle, like presidents, prime ministers, and kings. So let's all build them shells so they can fight among themselves and leave the people be who love to sing. One more time. Come and sing a simple song of freedom. Sing it like you've never sung before. Let it fill the air. Tell the people everywhere. We the people here don't want no war. I said let it fill the air. Tell the people everywhere. We the people here don't want no war.
Thank you so much, John Austin and Reverend Ernie Mills.
Call me Ernie.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you, John. Anything else? Anybody else? Good morning. It's the first day of May. It's May Day, or Bealtana, and happy. Did I do that right? Bealtana. Okay. Thank you. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever spiritual paths you travel, we welcome you to the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County, where our mission is to support individual spiritual journeys and to promote social, economic, and environmental justice. I'm Vanessa Cowie, and I'll be your worship associate this morning. Announcements. As Reverend Bob announced last Sunday, we're inviting you to light candles for personal joys and sorrows before each service, and to write your joy or sorrow on a piece of paper provided here if you wish to share it with Reverend Bob. If there is a deep joy or concern in your heart and you have not had a chance to light a candle or write a note, the ushers are prepared to help you with that at this moment. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe so strongly in affirming and promoting the democratic process that we include it in our principles. You can live that value at our annual congregational meeting in 2 weeks on Sunday, May 15th, between the two services at approximately 10 o'clock. There will be votes on new members to the nominating committee, the endowment committee, and the Board of Trustees, and there will be a vote on the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. We need a quorum to be able to take a vote. Hint, hint. To make the annual meeting quick and leave more time for social hour, mark your calendars to attend a budget forum ahead of time so your questions can be addressed ahead of time. Those are scheduled twice, one on Thursday, May 5th at 6:30 p.m., and the other on Saturday, May 7th at 10:30 in the morning. Members of the Finance Committee and the board will be available to answer your questions concerning this year's fiscal year's budget, this coming fiscal year. Now, on to more Sunday service related things. I'm delighted to welcome and introduce our guest minister, the Reverend Judith Long, or Reverend Judy, has served as the executive director of the free clinics in Henderson and Polk counties for about 17 years. During her tenure, the free clinics, or TFC, has experienced tenfold growth in staff, programs, budget, and most importantly, patients served. TFC also built a new facility, launched an endowment, expanded to serve a neighboring county, and also served as fiscal agent for the local health coalition and for the community collaborative addressing substance abuse disorder until February 2022. Whew, that's a lot. And I just snooped around on the website a little bit and would just like to say that now, as we are entering, or we are into a third year of unprecedented health challenges, the free clinics, what they do is they enhance the local health care system by ensuring the accessibility of quality health care for uninsured, low-income clients. Welcome, Reverend Judy. And I'd also like to recognize that our own UUTC minister, the Reverend Bob Rengillian, is with us in the sanctuary this morning. Our opening hymn is Spirit of Life. Please rise as you are willing and able, or remain sitting. The words will appear on the screen. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and the blue, true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I, who have died, am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and love and wings and of the gay, great happening illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any lifted from the no of all nothing, human merely being, doubt, unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake and the eyes of my eyes are opened. Words from E.E. Cummings for opening.
Would you like the candle? Of course. Excuse me. As we light our chalice this morning, blessed is this moment of our gathering. Blessed is the flame that we kindle here. Blessed is the fire of our faith, and this chalice its sign. Blessed is the living tradition we carry onward in our work and in our love. Blessed is the endless call to life, to which we give ourselves in answer.
All right, now's the time for any kids to come up. We're bringing a few helpers up with us too. We'll ask all the kids to kind of stand up here. We'll just need to be careful around the candles. Good morning, everybody. My name's Kevin Lausch, and I work with the children here at UUTC, and I'm so happy that I get that chance. And we have some great helpers up here. We have Jack, we have Cadence, and we have Jake. And this morning, we're going to tell the story of the animal school. And these guys are going to help. Jack, could you go ahead and give two of the animals to Jake also, so everyone's holding an animal, please? Could you give two to him? Any ones you want? Okay. And so whenever I say the name of one of the animals, guys, if you would hold it up and shake it around a little bit so everybody could see it, all right? Okay. I think we got everybody here. So, in Animal Land, their little area was growing, and they decided they really needed a school to help educate all the kids, because schools are very important. And schools are places where we really want for kids to learn. But sometimes our expectations we put on those going to schools might be a little bit different or maybe not really fit them. Well, at this animal school, they decided we should have some common core items, some common things every animal should learn, which seems sensible. So they decided, let's see here, as animals, we should be learning about climbing, about running, about swimming, and about flying. So they thought, that's a good idea. We'll have all the animals learn about all of those. Well, they said, first, okay, Bunny, we'll start you with learning about running. And you know that Bunny was all about it. And that Bunny did very well. But then they said, okay, Bunny, the next thing, you've done real well in running, I think we'll start learning about swimming. And I don't know if that Bunny was really up to it and got very worried. Okay. Got very worried, and that Bunny started to have to spend more and more time on learning to swim and stayed after school to learn to swim and had to stop running practice because swimming was so hard for it and taking so much time. Well, next up, they said, okay, let's talk about flying. And of course, Allie the owl, was all about flying and was ready to it. Oh, and I was just informed the name of the owl is actually Cherry. Cherry the owl, was all about flying. They said, okay, so start studying about flying. Oh, Cherry, you're doing such a good job at flying. And now we're going to try going to the top of a tree. But they wanted Cherry the owl to climb, because they were teaching climbing too now. But Cherry could get to the top of the tree by how Cherry did it best, flying. But they said, Cherry, I'm sorry, that's not allowed. You're using ways we're not grading for climbing to get to the top of the tree. And Cherry was really disappointed. But then they looked over and they said, oh, but here we have a penguin. And Cadence, is there a name for our penguin? Nothing, just penguin. And they said, okay, penguin, you're a bird like Cherry. Show us your flying. And oh, the penguin was very upset. And they said, okay, I'm really good at swimming. As a penguin, I'm good at swimming. They said, but you're a bird. You should really be flying. And Penguin got really upset and went home very sad. And of course, there are others. Now, swimming, there's an alligator that was very good at swimming. And they said, oh, very good job, alligator. You're doing the swimming very well. Okay, now let's work on climbing for you. And the alligator tried, and no problem that it was a great alligator and could do all alligator things, but it just could not climb. And of course, we come over to our lemur over here, and our lemurs, Ringo the lemur, and are lemurs good climbers? Yes. How about swimmers? Sometimes. Running? Run as fast as a rabbit? Maybe not quite. And so even though that lemur Ringo could do great things, he felt kind of just average and mediocre. But they said, well, average is okay, but not when you feel that you're not doing as well. And what they started to learn was schools are needed, schools are there, but we can try and appreciate all the different ways that each of these animals are beautiful, and we can try and help lift them up and make them feel good about what they do naturally themselves, and they don't have to compare themselves. And so our meaning or our moral from the animal school is that each of you are beautiful and wonderful just the way you are. You don't have to do everything perfectly. You just do what you do all the best you can, and that is great. And so now, I was about to say we would light the candle, and guess what I forgot in the classroom? So we might just be sung out. How about we'll do that, and we'll light the candle in the classroom. So, oh, that's true. You want to carry it? Okay. Let's from the chest.
What a delightful story and tradition. It's so nice to visit and experience other congregations. Won't you please join me in the spirit of meditation and prayer? I will offer some spoken words followed by silence. Spirit of life and of love, we come together this day from our separate lives to join together in this community. We come seeking stillness in our hearts and minds and spirits and bodies. Stillness that we find in our shared presence together. May we so join together this morning, loosening the bonds of separateness and share together in this moment of quiet and peace. As we sit together, let us mindfully breathe together. Simply breathe. Over these past 2 years, we have become deeply mindful that our very breath unites us all. Our breath mingles together as our lives are intertwined. And as we breathe together in community this morning, so too let us live and love and celebrate and mourn together. We pause to appreciate the gifts of life and love and the blessings of this beautiful day. May we find nourishment in this time together and from this community. Let us rejoice in this life, this community, and remember also that our community is not simply this fellowship and these friends, but all of humanity. In fact, all of life. Bound by the eternal web of life, we celebrate each other and the gifts of the universe. Amen.
As we pass the baskets, I'm going to speak words from Paul R. Beadle. Once upon a time, most folks used the offering plate to fulfill their pledges of financial support. Let me read that differently. Once upon a time, most people used the offering baskets to fulfill their pledges of financial support. Nowadays, lots of folks click on their church websites or set up automatic transfers from their checking accounts. Some still write a monthly check paying their church bill along with all the others. But passing the offering basket was never just a practical exercise. It has always been a ritual. Even if your pledge is paid up, it's worthwhile for you to bring even just $1 to drop into the basket as a ritual reminder of that form of love we call generosity. Let it be a reminder that after meeting our obligations to ourselves and our households and the communities to which we belong and are committed, we must still keep our capacity to give. The practice of giving until it is second nature and first response helps bring forth the realm of love.
Stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navega en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. The boat we are sailing on was built by many hands, and the sea we are sailing on, it touches every land. Sing with us. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navega en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. So with our hopes we set the sails and face the winds once more, and with our hearts we chart the waters never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar, yo navega en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are has been long and hard, and yet we're sailing still, with a song to help us pull together, if we only will. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me.
And know that your gifts are received with much gratitude.
Our reading this morning is a poem written by one of my former parishioners in New York City. And it just always has resonated with me. Song of Illusion by Jacinto. In distant memory and echo, from before beginning and beyond the end of time, recalled a voice I did not hear. Alone and frightened in the illusion of night's dream, in solitude, despitious despair, sobbing, sleep silences the terror. In distant memory, an echoed voice calls to me, from before the beginning to beyond the end of time. I do not hear. Alone and alien in the illusion of day's awakening light, in the multitude, despitious despair. Separated, grace escapes me. In distant memory, a voice calls. From beyond the terror of my solitude, I listen and hear. Your life beyond the illusion lies. I am here. A voice, familiar yet unknown, called from my ancient future. I hear its echo. Desperate, suffering, I recognize the voice as mine. Calling myself from before beginning and beyond the end of time, I see my ancient future. Beyond illusion, I am always here. Listen. I have not been with you. I looked back since 2013. It has been almost 10 years. So it is a delight to be back with you this morning. Though I will say, as I started hearing from colleagues and seeing colleagues, I was a little daunted. Ernie, Bob, Jean, hi. Thank you, Ernie. And I say that because I'm gonna go a little deep this morning, and I'm gonna offer my understanding of ourselves that is maybe a different understanding than you've heard before. And it comes from my spiritual practice and my own meditative, prayerful way of being. So, and then I'm gonna talk about how we live that, I and we at my job live that into reality. So bear with me a moment if I go a little astray of what you may have heard in the past. I had offered or chosen some words for the cover. I don't know who does what on paper anymore. There is an order of service. The words I had chosen call to us that the purpose of the journey is to restore ourselves to wholeness. Restore ourselves to wholeness. An inviting and provocative call, but what does it mean? What does it really mean? And I suggest that we first must start by defining what we mean by wholeness, so that we have a shared understanding this morning. And I invite you to explore with me a way of understanding ourselves that may be unfamiliar. So let's consider the complexity of our nature. Throughout recorded history, theologians, philosophers, and more recently psychiatrists and social scientists have attempted to give voice to our human nature. Libraries are filled with volumes of their scholarship and understanding. And to their learned, thoughtful, and often passionate understandings, I add my own. In today's 21st century vernacular, we often hear and speak of body-mind-spirit connection. As human beings consisting of three parts, and that body-mind-spirit sense of ourselves, I say, neglects an important dimension. We are body, mind, spirit, and soul. We are four dimensions, seeking wholeness and balance among them. And we cannot find that wholeness that we seek if we do not understand who we are. Our complex human nature includes four dimensions. We in today's world tend to conflate spirit and soul, using them interchangeably. Yet they are separate, discrete dimensions to our whole being. Body, mind, spirit, and soul. The body is our incarnation, our vehicle during our physical existence in this life. It is the means by which we relate to the world. It gives us senses to see and smell and hear, touch and taste. It enables us a voice to speak and to sing. It allows us to embrace another, to hold a hand, to connect with other bodies. It gives us expression to our creativity and to life. It enables our mobility. It is a deep, profound sense of our beingness, and it must be honored as such. We are here, incarnated, present, embodied. Our body is real and holy and sacred and is essential to our beingness as mind, spirit, and soul. The mind provides thought, awareness, memories, consciousness, emotions, and the power to choose. It enables us to think through choices. It allows us to consider, remember, and delve into the experiences of the body in order to grow in our understanding. It is that, the mind, that makes us unique among creation. That self-conscious awareness, the ability to transport ourselves through time and memory and imagination, and to weigh options, foresee possible consequences, and make often a rational choice. Like the body, the mind is an essential part of our beingness and should be honored as such. It is that which makes us human beings as opposed to animal beings. It is real and sacred and holy, and an essential part of our beingness, as much as body and spirit and soul. So spirit. It is that God essence within us. It is the life force within each of us. It is the animating quality that brings us to life. It is that which has always been and always will be part of the one, the divine. It is the original energy of the universe before the Big Bang, which is manifest in you and me. It is that part of us that touches the oneness with all of life, that knows the divinity of others, of plants and animals, of earth and stars. It is that connection to and with. It knows divinity and oneness because it feels itself holy and holy in that oneness. Like separate sparks of one flame, like separate drops in an endless ocean of being. The spirit is an essential part of our beingness. We are here as incarnated bodies with minds that enable self-consciousness and choice and wisdom, and with spirit as incarnated lights of divinity. Spirit is real and holy and sacred and is essential to our beingness as body and mind and soul. Soul. Soul is that part of us that is both uniquely personal and eternal. It is the part of us that lives beyond this temporal reality. It is that dimension of us that retains something. We don't quite understand it, but something of our individual nature, something of the lessons learned, the love and the loss of living, even as this temporal life comes to an end. It is our deeply unconscious memories, those soul memories rather than the temporal memories. We get to wholeness by letting our soul lead the way. We fully actualize our human divinity by living through our souls. The soul is an essential part of our beingness. We are here as incarnated bodies with minds that enable self-consciousness and choice and wisdom, with spirit as incarnated lights of divinity, as eternal souls who yearn for wholeness and connection. Soul is real and holy and sacred and is essential to our beingness as body and mind and spirit. 4 parts: body, mind, spirit, and soul, seeking wholeness in ourselves. Yet in today's world, we tend to get stuck in the context of our lives, deeply engaged with our bodies and minds, ever attentive to and engaged with the details of family and friends and health concerns and finances. And does the car need new tires? And did I turn off the coffee pot before I left this morning? And did I silence my cell phone before service? All the while remaining unaware and thus disconnected from our spirit and soul and from the wholeness we seek. Wholeness invites us to listen to the voice calling ourselves from before the beginning and beyond the end of time, to see our ancient future, to know that we are always here, as my beloved former parishioner Gary Jacinto wrote in his poem, Song of Illusion. And as Gary's poem alludes, being alone and frightened in the illusion of night's dream, alone and alien in the illusion of the awakening light, despitious despair. The irony is that we often find our way to wholeness by acknowledging and embracing our brokenness. If we are satisfied and complacent with our life, with the security of privilege and surety, wholeness too often remains out of reach. Our brokenness can be an open, the doorway to wholeness, but there is caution here. If we cling too tightly to our sense of brokenness, if we make brokenness our identity, we cannot move forward. It is the doorway, not where we stay. Practicing wholeness begins with an awareness of all 4 dimensions of self, understands that by deeply embracing all 4 dimensions of self, we can be propelled through that doorway, opened in brokenness, and then engage in the practice of connection in deep relation to others. Okay, I know I just threw out a whole lot of weighty stuff, some of which, because we are UUs, you're turning over in your mind, you're assessing whether what I suggested resonates with you and your understanding of life and the meaning of life and of your sense of self and purpose. You're questioning, and that's good, and I invite that. But first, before we talk about it, because I know coffee hour will be talk, but first I want to make all this a little bit concrete. All those theoretical dimensions to talk about how they come into play in life. And I want to share with you the story of my day job and how that embodies this principle. How my work at the free clinics is a daily experiment in practicing wholeness among our staff and patients. So I start with the context. The free clinic serves economically vulnerable persons in Henderson and Polk County. We started with the premise that access to quality care would save lives and enable folks to become and remain active, engaged members of our community. But over time, we realized that health Health means a whole lot more than a doctor's visit and appropriate medications. Health requires attention to socioeconomic barriers. Health requires an understanding of the context of a person's life, what trauma happened to them as children and as adults. True health requires a sense of wholeness. In the early 20-teens, health thinkers with a higher pay grade than me offered a new paradigm of health. One that said every single clinical dimension imaginable, every doctor's visit, every hospital visit, every pill we take, every test we take, everything accounts for 20% of what makes and keeps us healthy. That's all. Our childhood and any adverse childhood experiences, as well as those adult traumas, impact our brain function and decision making. It changes how we think, those traumas. And that decision making and that impact of trauma on brain and decision making accounts for 30% of what makes and keeps us healthy. And our socioeconomic reality accounts for 50% of what makes and keeps us healthy. And that is a vastly different understanding of health than what we are taught in modern Western society. So at the clinics, as we studied and reflected and lived into that new health paradigm, our practice changed. We began intentionally practicing wholeness of care. We added programming that addressed the socioeconomic barriers. So we have a community garden and a bike rehabilitation program, because food and transportation are issues for vulnerable folks. We began practicing trauma-informed care with patients, which first requires that our team understand the impact of trauma on brain science. And then, with that understanding, ask 2 questions of every patient. What happened to you, and what is important to you? At the same time that we were shifting our health paradigm, our patient population was also shifting. We work with our partners in the community and the health system, and over time, those partners had enabled care, greater care, so that regular, low-income, uninsured folks now had choices of care for the first time. And our work evolved to serve those most vulnerable, those struggling with homelessness, with substance use disorder, with severe and persistent mental illness, those who are justice involved, survivors of interpersonal violence, undocumented, those who have high, very high trauma histories, and impaired decision-making that often results. The free clinics takes care of people and patients that are the most difficult to serve, the ones who too often get turned away and have doors slammed in their faces. And jumping ahead to the results, our health outcomes with these patients better those of the traditional healthcare system, even with these most challenging patients. For every comparable measure, whether we're talking diabetes or hypertension, our outcomes exceed those of our partners. 97% of the patients at the clinics report that their health is improved thanks to our care. And when we disaggregate data by race and ethnicity, there are no health disparities. When a person enrolls in our care, there's a 78% reduction in inappropriate utilization of the hospital for primary care or other things. Our patients get jobs, engage recovery, find homes, and then become, often for the first time in their lives, active, engaged members of our community. That is the ministry of the clinics and our health. Patients who are the hardest to serve in all ways become as healthy or healthier than our community standard, not because of what we do, because of how we do it. And you might be thinking at this moment, that's nice, but weren't you talking about wholeness? How did we get here? So I want to tie it all together. Our work at the clinics is about putting the concept of practicing wholeness into day-to-day practical reality. We embrace the whole person, body, mind, spirit, and soul. We explicitly treat bodies and minds. That's part of health. We embody our spirit by our sense of welcome and care, by seeing and embracing each person, no matter their history, circumstances, clothing, or cleanliness, as an embodiment of divinity, of in our language inherent worth and dignity, as is deserving of our love and respect and very best. We embody spirit in our welcome. And those questions that we ask, what happened to you and what is important to you, those questions get to soul over time. At first, patients respond with the stories of their trauma. The first question is the one that matters most when they enter our care. What happened to you? And being able to tell their story makes a difference in their healing. But over time, the second question becomes more important. What is important to you? That question, over time, because we ask it repeatedly, becomes soulful. And the answers grow deeper and more meaningful in a life and eternal sense. And what matters most in our work is the connection between the helpers and the helped, because that is where the wholeness most deeply is practiced. Because when we, the helpers, authentically engage, we too are changed. We too practice engagement with our own body, mind, spirit, and soul. Practicing wholeness means that we know ourselves in all of our faults and frailty, in all of our beauty and grace, in our fullness as body and mind and spirit and soul. And we bring as much of ourselves as we can into the fullness of connection with others in the spirit of humility and grace. Practicing wholeness is a daily meditation, a way of being and doing and reflecting and praying and singing and laughing and dancing. It is messy and loud and silent, and silly and sorrowful, and both richly sweet and savory. The purpose of our lives, of our journey, is to restore ourselves to wholeness, living into the call to ourselves from before the beginning and beyond the end of time, seeing our ancient futures and knowing that beyond illusion, we are always here. May we find the opening through our brokenness. May we come to know ourselves in all of our dimensions of body, mind, spirit, and soul. May we make practicing wholeness our daily meditation, our daily practice. Amen. And now I am to introduce our closing hymn. We're going to dance as a way of practicing our wholeness. So please join in, rise as your body and spirit as you're willing and able, and let it be a dance. standing, please. We have just joined together in worship and meditation and song and in dance. Let us now join together physically, embodying our connection to each other, extending our hands to recreate the sacred chain. I invite you to join hands, and as far as you are able, leave no hand unheld. Physically creating the web of community, of spirit, of love. And as we gather in this web, may we contemplate these words. To wish for compassion, to pray for courage, to experience doubt, to bear sorrow, to strive for sureness. These are qualities for which each of us should be grateful. But to feel a genuine fellowship for the whole human family, to act so that our empathy is evident wherever we go, that is the object. That is the lifelong goal. That is practicing wholeness. Go in hope, go in generosity, go in love, go in the practice of wholeness, go with many, many blessings, and happy May Day.